now, per what we know, even when President John Dramani Mahama is sleeping and you wake him up, he be like this. He's not scared of anybody. The man is giving it to anybody that is trying to control Africa. Woto season. Everyone is collecting, whether you are the president of the USA. He doesn't mind. He is out to spill some facts. And I am here to give you all the gay setting. So because I give information from scratch, I will take you all the way back to January 2018. President Trump was having a meeting with his people. It was about migration. And he told them that whenever his senators come to him for them to have a discussion, let me remove this thing first. For them to have a discussion, they are always talking about African countries and all of that. Why can't they accept people from the Norway, from Sweden and all of that? Why should it be people from shithole? That's what he said. Why should it be people from shithole countries like the people from Africa? They are always accepting garbage and all. I'm not lying. Let's watch the video.
Remember I said that to the senators they came in, the Democrats. They wanted to be bipartisan. So they came in and they said, this is totally off the record. Nothing mentioned here. We want to be honest because our country was going to hell. And we had a meeting. And I say, why is it we only take people from whole countries, right? Why can't we have some people from Norway, Sweden, just a few? Let us have a few. From Denmark, do you mind sending us a few people? Send us some nice people, do you mind? But we always take people from Somalia, places that are a disaster, right? Filthy, dirty, disgusting, ridden with crime.
So this was 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025. 7 years later, we've gotten an African president that said that, nah, that thing that President Donald Trump said, we have to reply him. So 3 days ago, there was a diaspora summit in Ghana. So President John Dramani Mahama gave a speech that day. And in his speech, he started by addressing those cases. That's why should a leader be in his country and think that they have the power to call a continent of 54 countries a shithole continent? Why should anybody even mention an African country? Because President Trump went ahead to mention Somalia. As for Somalia, I don't know what he has against them, but he's always referring to them as, like, you know, garbage and all of that. So President Mahama addressed all those things. Why should anybody think they have the power to say something like that?
We're at a place in our journey where we do not have the luxury of forgetting. When government officials can so easily use the words like garbage and filth to describe our kith and kin, when they can refer to our countries as shitholes, when they can indiscriminately strip people who look like us of citizenship that they have earned, we do not have the luxury of forgetting or of either excusing the racist dog whistles or explaining the overtly discriminatory and divisive statements that are made daily to our hearing.
We could go M for M and we could go PAN for PAN. That is what I see happening. That is what I see happening here. So President Mahama went ahead to explain that they are using some ways to, you know, divide Africa, creating imaginary borders, saying that Ghana starts from here and end here, Cote d'Ivoire then starts from there and end there. That is what they are using to separate us. We have a part of us speaking French, and those people are being controlled by one European country. And that one European country that he said, I know, is France. And then there is another one that is also being controlled by Northern America, which is the USA, obviously.
We've been divided by the manufacturing of coups, armed conflicts, anti-poverty programs that somehow never eradicate poverty, by the selective broadcast of stereotypes, a systemic war of images waged against us, images meant to foster fear and engender self-hatred and portrayal of Africans as primitive savages, whose low cognitive ability makes them incapable of self-determination. And Black people in the Americas as lazy, drug-addled, and criminally inclined. And there too is the institutionalization of colorism. The belief that anything black is negative or inferior, and the proximity to whiteness is more desirable.
Now, he went ahead to also explain that gradually, things that, we don't imagine, things that we don't actually regard, whites use this to, in a way, look down on blacks. Especially, there are some languages that if you translate the meaning, it's somehow looking down on blacks.
And there too is the institutionalization of colorism. The belief that anything black is negative or inferior, and the proximity to whiteness is more desirable. It is reflected in every aspect of our lives. And I say us because colonization did not leave us unscathed, quite the opposite. In English, everything negative and evil is black.
And this is literally true. This is facts. Because I remember that when we were kids, we used to think that Jesus Christ, Jesus Christ is a good example, right? So Jesus Christ is actually a white man, and then Satan is a black man. That was the image, things that you don't expect. In movies, you will see that those people that they are satanic and all of that, they are blacks. They look black, even if they are whites. They paint them black. And gradually, they create some scenes in your head that anything related to black, even a black color, darkness, is actually a bad thing. So even before the white kid will see you, they have this impression in their head that anything black is a bad thing. But after this video came out, it's actually trending. A lot of people are surprised and all of that. Like the audacity, why is one African country's president is so bold and out saying all of this? I was like, why are you surprised? Why are you shocked? Have you forgotten? If you've forgotten, I think 3 months ago there was a UN meetup, some summits that they usually attend. All presidents of all nations will come. They will have a discussion, security and all of that. I actually saw President Mahama give a speech that I didn't even think any African country will be able to do that amidst all those people that we are speaking against. He was bold to let them know that Africa should have a veto power on its own. And when you go to the UN, United Nations, we have only 5 countries that have the veto power. Veto power is just the power that lets you choose what should be accepted and what should not be accepted. No, we don't like this one. No, we like this one. Africa do not have that power when you go to the UN. We have only United States, United Kingdom, France, Russia, and China having that power. He was bold enough to request for that right in front of everybody.
The first sentence in Chapter 2, Article 1 of the UN Charter declares that the organization is based on the principle of sovereign equality of all its members. If this were true, and was the case, a continent as large as Africa, with its numerous UN member states, would have at least one permanent seat in the Security Council. Furthermore, we believe that veto power should not be restricted to only 5 nations, nor should it be absolute. There must be a mechanism in this House for the General Assembly to challenge a veto. No single nation should be able to exercise an absolute veto to serve its own in a dispute. In 1995, during the 50th anniversary of the United Nations, Nelson Mandela stood in this very spot, and he said, "The United Nations has to reassess its role, redefine its profile, and reshape its structures. It should truly reflect the diversity of our universe and ensure equity among the nations in the exercise of power within the system of international relations in general."
It was even there that he started telling them that they should stop that xenophobic behavior, accepting who they want to accept in their countries, looking down on immigrants, mentioning some African personalities that actually made impact in the European countries and the Northern American countries.
We cannot normalize cruelty. We cannot normalize hatred. We cannot normalize xenophobia and racism. If we're going to tell a story, let's not tell it slant. Let's tell all the truth. When we speak of migrants, we speak of Mami Ewusi Mensah Frimpong, a judge on the U.S. District Court for the Central District of California. She's the first black female judge on any of California's 4 federal district courts. She was born here in America to immigrant parents from Ghana. We speak of Peter Bosman, a medical doctor in Ghana who moved to the town of Piran in Slovenia in the 1980s and later became the first black mayor of Piran, the first black mayor in Slovenia and in the whole of Eastern Europe. We speak of T. Michael, the iconic Ghanaian Norwegian artist and designer. And of course, we speak of the late Kofi Annan, former United Nations Secretary General.
You know, this is a very bold move. It's a very bold move. Somebody will be like, we don't want problem, or we don't want anybody. If we keep saying that this is modern day colonization, if we keep saying that we don't want any problem, or we don't want to have any issues with anybody, we will keep being like that forever. They will look down on us forever. No president should be bold enough to publicly call the whole of Africa, a very large continent, as shithole. Nobody should have the power to do that. So when I saw this footage and I realized that no African president has been able to be out to speak against it, or the AU has never said that, why should anybody say that? It tells you a lot. It tells you the kind of corner that they are pushing Africans into. It tells you the power that our leaders have. Because if they can sit and watch for another country to refer to your own continent like that, you should know that you are really in a mess. So to see somebody that is up for it, that is saying that I don't care the implications, I'm going to let you know that what you did was wrong, you don't have to refer to any African country like that, you know, it deserves a clap. And if you're happy that the president was bold enough to do this, you can leave it in the comment section. If you think we should be scared and not actually come out to challenge power, you should also leave it in the comment section. We agree to disagree. Remember that this is a platform that is of the people, is by the people, is for the people. This is Gossip 24. And the room is very bright because my name is Light. Bye.